we have Tapping Buttons and the crew. They had a good first series, taking Sentinels all the way to a Game 5, and now Pioneers, obviously a team to look out for this event. Looking at the series score here, West, we got CTF on Bazaar to start things off, Slayer, Aquarius, and Oddball Streets. And if we get there, Strongholds Recharge, and then finishing it off once again on Streets with that Slayer. Looking at this series layout, Wes, what are you thinking? What team do you think is going to have the edge here?
Yeah, I'd like to favor Pioneers just overwhelmingly in this series, but the Knights do have some good complementary game types along the way. If we can get to a Game 5, the Knights are a very strong Street Slayer team. They were 5-0 in their last LAN performance on Street Slayer, so hopefully we can have this series go the distance and the Knights can push the Pioneers to the brink of elimination here. As we get into gameplay, though, it's going to be up to Taulek to start this one off right for the Pioneer boys, and he does just that, finds the Killtop Rockets, plays his life fairly well, and if the competition for Overshield and Rockets still remain, it does look like the Pioneers have got the advantage for now.
Yeah, a couple members fall quickly for PK, allowing Druk to push up into that corner elbow side of the PK base. Let's see if Pioneers can get things started off as Druk sneaking his way over to the opponent's base, putting some good shots in that player jumping over a tree, and there that kill does get cleaned up, allowing Druk to be the first one on the board with the flagpole.
And this is what Pioneers does best. They get kills and they efficiently play objective over those kills. Already you're seeing Druk pull that flag, get it across halfway, and look at the Pioneers, how they've come out swinging so far in this series. The Knights earlier today, they pushed Sentinels to a Game 5. The Pioneers are very aware of that stat. They came in taking this series very serious, and you can already see this flag looks like it's going to go on the board.
Flag cap started by Druk and finished off by Taulek, putting the flag cap in the base 1-0 within essentially 1 minute of the game starting. Once again, if you're just joining us, this is the twitch.tv/Xbox stream brought to you by Xbox Plays. We're hopping on board here with Drift on PK. And tell me a little bit about this PK team, Wes. You know, obviously they're representing the LATAM region. They've been a staple on that side of the world for quite some time now, and they've honestly put some fear into their opponents coming to this event.
These guys are good, man. These guys can compete with some of the world's best. I'm not sure they're going to be in the same tier as the Sentinels, the Cloud9s, and the Optics of the world, but anybody else, they're going to give them a run for their money, right? The Knights have been the most dominant team in the MX region for years now. They're looking to do it on a world stage. This could be the event that they break out. And the two players to watch on this team are Drift and Tapping Buttons. They have both impressed me immensely when paying attention to the MX Super earlier this month.
Yeah, Tapping Buttons, not much more can be said about his brilliance in Halo. Obviously, we saw his rise in Halo 5, and surprising a lot of people joining that EG roster way back in the day with some legends, and now back, you know, in his element, teaming with his friends or his teammates that he's played with so long now, as we're bringing back things into this game. Druk with a nice double kill. Unfortunately, trades there with Drift, not able to do much objective work done there, but still a nice double kill to help open up the map for his team.
Yeah, as we learn more about the Knights and how they're going to be able to compete against the world's best, it really is Tapping Buttons, like you're saying, that you got to watch out for. He's a superstar in the MX region. That's no secret. But when I talk about Drift, I want you to pay attention to the gameplay that he provides on a consistent level. He has been right there with Tapping Buttons throughout all of their success so far in Infinite. So if this team wants to create an upset of the magnitude against a team like Pioneers, it's going to be on the back of Tapping Buttons and Drift playing excellent Halo.
SoulSnipe with a nice double kill. Tapping Buttons here trying to get something going for his team. Runs into a player weak on his treehouse, runs into lockers, not able to get that kill, but manages to stay alive. He still has a couple thrusts in his back pocket and wisely choosing to stay alive here and back down a little bit.
Druk with already 10 to his name, leading the Pioneer boys to this 1-0 lead. As we cross the 8-minute and 30 mark, it's going to be Manny trying to be aggressive towards the enemy tree. He's going to have multiple players to deal with here. He wisely backs down, and that just shows you the level of awareness Manny has as far as knowing that he was by himself. And look at that. He's rewarded with a nice easy kill with the help of his friend on a tapping, and that's a big one to set up for this next Overshield.
On board with Druk right now, just kind of patrolling his front bridge in his treehouse. Really a great vantage point to make sure that you're able to do damage and get information for your team, and really just playing that defensive role. But as I say that, we got Drift on the PK side, pulling the flag over already middle way of the map. And let's see if PK can get this flag all the way home.
Pay attention to the kill feed here. Unfortunately, the Knights just randomly had 3 dead and that's Drift going down. He's going to be the 4th, and although players are coming off respawn, the Knights are not going to be able to get a touch on this flag. Good defense from Pioneers there, and once again, we'll see if they have an opportunity to counter cap, but tapping shuts that down immediately.
Yeah, that green gun can be so deadly if used correctly, and tapping button, putting it to work. But Taulek right there to take him down. Drift gets that kill on SoulSnipe. Once again, Taulek trying to do some damage in the enemy tree, does so, but ends up falling. And once again, kind of a bit of a back and forth after that first cap we saw, Wes. You know, we saw Pioneers come out really strong and put that one flag cap in, but since then, it's been a pretty close battle.
Pretty close, but if you're taking a look at the kill differential between the teams so far, Pioneers outslaying the Knights heavily, and typically if the Pioneers are outslaying you, the objective is going to get done efficiently behind those slays. So if this amount of slay differential continues, Faisal, I worry that this lead will also start to grow in the Pioneers' favor.
Yeah, that's very true. Whenever we talk about this Pioneers team, we always talk about how efficient they are and how much, you know, they thrive on objective and teamwork. So if they're outslaying you by a large margin, then that's a recipe for disaster if you are PK. So you're going to want to start getting kills on the board, and Druk with some good shots taken down. Bullet, and to your point, Clutch, Drift with already 11 kills on the board. Him and tapping buttons are really going to need to lead the charge here for PK, as Druk is just controlling this middle part of the map, trying to get some aggression going over to the side of PK. Gets a kill in the tree, looking for the double kill here on the bottom tree player. Nice shots, taking down Atzo. Almost a triple kill, but does get the kill cleaned up, and 3 members fall for PK. This is going to be another flag round opportunity for the boys on Pioneers.
And this is such a dangerous position, because right now, Druk 18-3-5 with the flag on the move. Rockets are coming up. Nasty bullets on respawn, and with overshield rockets coming up, this flag is already in the middle of the map. This is all Pioneers' opportunity to extend this lead. Overshield somehow gets picked up by the Knights. That player uses that overshield to take down Druk finally. That's a big kill, but unfortunately, the numbers are too thin to get rockets, and because of it, SoulSnipe has found himself a second kill. Will they be able to get a touch? The answer is yes. 3 go down for the Knights, and unfortunately, it's going to be one player last alive, and he spotted pillars. He's got no chance in this fight. And that's going to be the Pioneers continuing to move this flag through the big door, and they're eventually going to take this 2-0 lead. That's
so unfortunate for PK, because right there, I saw that player pick up overshield, and I was like, okay, that's a huge overshield grab. They're going to get this return, and then within an instant, he gets destroyed, and then you see another PK player with rockets get taken down. So if you're PK there, you had overshield, you had rockets, and you give up both, and then the other team gets the flag cap, right? So a bit of a collapse there for PK.
The tough part is overshield doesn't technically create that power curve that you're so used to in Halo, right? It's a fairly weaker overshield in Halo Infinite as of right now, and because of it, prioritizing the overshield over the rockets is almost a questionable decision from PK. You want those rockets because you can easily take down an overshield player with the rockets. You cannot say the same for an overshield player against rockets. So you see how that's benefited the Pioneers up in here. They've been able to transition the rocket control rather than the overshield control into this 2-0 cap without overshield being a problem to deal with.
Manny shooting bodies, letting PK know this is our series right now. Manny trying to go for the grapple play, but unfortunately for him, he gets taken out. Double kill though for SoulSnipe, looking for the triple, wisely choosing to back off of that fight. No way he was gonna win that, and I love seeing players obviously at this high caliber making those smart decisions and valuing their life.
Even though they're up 2-0, even though you can tell they're confident enough to be shooting bodies, probably talking a little bit of smack behind it, they're still playing their lives, they're still making smart decisions. That shows you that Pioneers, although they're young, although they're still fairly new in their careers on LAN, they're starting to show some veteran qualities of their own.
Tapping buttons with some nice shots, taking out SoulSnipe, marking in that locker. The new feature, of course, the Halo Infinite, you're allowed to mark where the opponents are, where you want your teammates to take a look. A nice double kill out of Druk, 24-9. Druk is having himself a game.
Yeah, when stats like that, you already know how successful the Pioneers are going to be. I'll say when Druk is almost triple positive, the Pioneers are probably undefeated in games that statistics match those levels of slays, and unfortunately the Knights have to figure out a way to combat the individual skill that Druk is putting on them. The teamwork that the Pioneers have been able to display is nothing but impressive. The pressure has been felt, but Druk with the flag on the move could change this storyline. Still 3 minutes left, and if you're able to punch a flag cap in here, now this game is far from over, Faisal.
Bullet running into his bar, going towards that bridge, trying to make sure that flag he has eyes on that flag bottom middle, needs to get that return sorry, trying to get the touch as PK is not able to get the touch and Pioneer's able to get that return. So still no flag opportunity really for this PK roster. About 2.5 minutes left in the game, Wes. So if you're PK, you're really gonna have to do, you know, pedal to the metal right here and try to get some flag pulls going.
Yeah, the thing is if you're Knights, you're not going to take any risk. You're completely comfortable controlling their bar. Look at how look at how Druk and the boys are playing this one. Yes, they do end up pushing outside towards the flag, but in all honesty, they want to get slayed. The flag does not need to go anywhere, and I kind of think that that's an overstep on their end. Looking for just map control is what I'd be searching to do if I'm Pioneers, and coming off respawn, that's probably a good conversation that they're having.
Yeah, and of course it's a long series, best of 5, so game 1, you know, it is a bit back and forth, although we see Pioneers with the 2-0 lead. This has been, you know, despite the slaying difference, a pretty back and forth game for most of it. So, you know, if you're Pioneers, you have to be on your toes going into the rest of the series, and of course Knights are going to need to really, you know, get things going if they want to really stay in this.
I mean, you got to point it out. If you're taking a look at the scoreboard right now, Nasty Bullet, he was the late addition to this team. Pilu was not able to make this tournament, and unfortunately Nasty Bullet not doing his job here at 6-25. That's a rough game 1, but like you said, Faisal, it's a best of 5 for a reason. Game 1 does not decide everything. Plenty of times you got smoked in game 1, and I'm sure you were able to come back. So
okay.
Hopefully that's the story being written.
And here we see Drift able to get the flag out actually past the halfway point, I believe, for the first time this game. Already all the way back to his double doors, but gets melted, and grenades are taking damage there as well. So let's see if Pittsburgh Knights can do something here. And they take, you see Bullet takes down Taulek there, 4 dead. Unfortunately for Knights, not able to get that flag past their doors. And with a minute left, this is not looking good.
That one needed to go in to give any chance for the Knights to try and come back here in game 1. So series isn't over, but game 1 heavily dominated by Pioneers in the slaying category, heavily dominated by them in the scoring category, 2-0. Doesn't seem like a lot, but on Bazaar CTF, it feels like it's a massive win for these boys in red. And don't forget, like I said, earlier in game 1, the Knights pushed Sentinels all the way to a game 5. So for Pioneers to come out and look as strong as they have, that is indicative of how much success they can have later in this tournament as well.
And I'm always a big advocate of closing out a game strong, so you go into the next one with a good mentality and you're confident. So I like that we're seeing Knights run this flag. Obviously, the game is not over just yet. We still have 20 seconds, so maybe tapping buttons can pull some miracles out here, but just the time, the clock is working against them so badly right now, Clutch. So even if they're able to kind of fight for this flag and get it home, you know, they're still going to need another cap to tie things up. So this one is all over with 10 seconds left.
Yeah, and as this flag continues to move, I love the idea of ending the game on a high note, even if it is a loss.
Yeah.
And honestly, the Knights, taking a look at the scoreboard once again, started to catch up in those slays. You see 20, 20, and 25 out of the 3 staple members of this Knights squad, and they started to pick it up there in the second half. They had multiple flags on the move that were very capable. And unfortunately, they weren't able to push any of them in, but that does bode well for their future in this series.
Yeah, game 1, like we said a couple of times already on this broadcast, it's a best of 5 for a reason, right? If you're Knights, you really want to focus on how you ended that game, right? You saw them run a couple flag caps, not able to capture it or capitalize. And if you're Pioneers, you got to talk about Druk, right? Druk is going to need to continue to play at the level he's playing at to elevate this team and move past this Knights roster. Yeah,
absolutely. I do think that the Pioneers started to slow down there, though. Druk, even in his phenomenal start, I mean, at one point he was 18-5 or whatnot, that started to diminish throughout the end of that game, whether it was a little bit of letting up on the gas, and we'll see how that picks up in game 2, or did the Pioneers wake up and start to compete a little bit better? That could have just been a slow start for Pioneers. So this game 2 is going to be very important, especially how both these two teams kick it off.
Yeah, and if you're tapping buttons, if you're Drift, if you're Atzo, and obviously Bullet kind of struggling there in that game 1, is that something you just brush it off when you move into game 2? Do you have a conversation? Like, how do you approach that when you know your teammate kind of didn't have the best game to start the series?
It's tough, especially if it's a consistent thing, right? Especially having watched the Knights play several times. It was very difficult to see how Bullet was comparing to the Atzo and the tapping buttons of the world. If he can step it up, if Nasty Bullet can pick up his production level, this team will have a very good chance of competing against the Pioneers. Like I said, they pushed Sentinels to a game 5 earlier today. Although they were unsuccessful in that series, that shows you they can play with some of the best when they're playing well. It's just a matter of can they consistently play at that level.
Looking at the scoreboard here, and actually it was 2-1, so they were able to get that final flag cap. So again, we talked about it a couple times, ending the game on a good note, so you feel confident going on to that next one. We have Manny, 14 and 20, a bit of a struggle for him, but he was doing a lot of the objective. Manny actually kind of the dedicated objective man on this team, right? We were reading some stats earlier, and he's always the one to pull the flag. Even when all of his team's pushing into the base together, you'll see Manny start that flag run and run the objective. Druk and SoulSnipe respectively, 27 kills apiece. 54 kills amongst two players in a non-overtime game. A great performance there out of Druk and SoulSnipe, and Taulek obviously doing his part as well with the damage right there, 6,700 for Taulek. And on the other side, we talked about it. Bullet's going to need to step it up going into Game 2 and the rest of the series for Knights to have a fighting chance against this Pioneers team.
The damage stat's the most telling one to me. Whenever I have a question of how someone performed, typically I can go to that damage dealt stat and I can tell you that you had a large impact on the game.
Yeah.
If we're calling out Nasty Bullet, it is going to be that damage that needs to get it picked up. It's not necessarily the KD ratio or the assists or anything specifically, but if you're dealing damage, you're potentially creating space and opportunity for your teammates. And when you have teammates like Tapping Buttons and Drift, all you need to do is give them opportunity and they will succeed.
Yeah.
So looking into Game 2, we're going to look for that differential to change, hopefully, for the boys over on PK. If you're on the side of Pioneers, it looks like everyone had a great game, and honestly, Manny, he's kind of that inconsistent player on Pioneers, but if we can win the games where he's maybe not dealing the most damage, the games that he is are going to be coastal clear for us, so that's a great sign for them as well.
Yeah, no, Pioneers, kind of talking about them a little bit more, you know, a lot of Halo 5 is where they built their reputation, right? And coming into Halo Infinite, I feel like between the top players and even a lot of like the top community members, they didn't get the validation or respect that they deserved. And I respect so much that they are earning that and like really forcing the community and the players to respect, acknowledge them, and really try to solidify themselves at not just a top 8, top 6 team, but like a top 4 team,
the
right?
potential to win tournaments.
Yeah, potential
is what they have.
Exactly. We've seen them push Cloud9 to the brink. We've seen them push Sentinels to the brink. Optic, right? So KCP or Pioneers are here to win the event, right? So if you're Knights, you lose a game 1, it's close. It's a 2-1 loss. One of your teammates didn't have the best game. You're feeling good going into this Game 2. Brush it off and see what we can do here in game number 2. We got Aquarius, Slayer, Pioneers leading the way 1-0 in this series. Wes, what do you got to do if you're Knights here to come out strong in this Aquarius Slayer?
I really want to see them dictate the power-up story here in Game 2. It's got to be camo control for me. It's got to be pairing that with the heat wave and the dynamo grenades. So you're going to give yourself so much of an opportunity to set the pace and create the tone for this Game 2. It's a strong start that I'm looking for the Knights to have if they want to stay in the series, because I fear that if Pioneers come out swinging once again, it's going to be a very quick game. Aquarius Slayer is one of our fastest game type mode map combinations, and already Taulek off to perfect shots. And that's probably going to be camo going into his favor as well. Yeah,
I feel like this game type and map really kind of caters to that Pioneers play style, right? You just get to run and gun and really work with your teammates. And if they're controlling the camos, it's going to be a tough team to beat, as Taulek does have that camouflage, putting down some damage. Druk runs into a couple players, and Atzo able to take him out. Taulek still with the camo in hand, trying to pick up the first kill of the game, but not able to. Gets taken down and not really able to do much damage with that camouflage. Does get 1 kill.
Yeah, for the Pioneers to come out as strong as they did, secure camo, have the map control that they had, and then to not transition that into a significant lead, that's a very good job by the Knights to secure a few kills, especially the one on the camo player onto Taulek. And now look at them using this teamwork to clear out a couple players in this closet, and now all of a sudden the Knights have jumped out to a 6-4 lead early on.
Yeah, honestly, after not getting camo, you couldn't ask for a better start if you're Knights or a fan of this Knights team. Nice trade by Tapping Buttons. Already 3 kills on the board for him. And once again, I'm going to be keeping my eye on Bullet this game and making sure, you know, trying to keep tabs on how he's doing throughout the game. 3 members fall, though, for Knights. Tapping Buttons, the last player, able to get 1. Can he get 2?
God.
Tapping Buttons with the reversal. What a play out of Tapping Buttons. Trying to stay alive for the triple, but 2 members. It took the whole Pioneers team to take down Tapping Buttons.
And he is a superstar in the EMX region for a reason. This kid can light it up with the best of them. That's why Roy and Lunch gave him a chance in H5. They saw the talent, the potential in this kid. He just gave you a glimpse of that talent and potential right there. Taking on 2 members of the Pioneers, keeping the score in his team's favor for just that moment. But just as I say that, 13-10 is the score for Pioneers. They've swung this one back in their position. So even though Tapping Buttons doing God's work to get 2 kills over at the red base, it looks like it's been Pioneers ever since.
Yeah, and even though this game is in its early stages right now, I feel like every time I look at the kill feed, when one member of Knights fall, instantly the second and third member will fall, right? So you really want to try to minimize that as much as possible and not allow you and your team to fall so collectively. Like, you cannot fall at the same time, especially on a game type like Aquarius Slayer, and just give up that rotation, give up that positioning on the map. And fortunately for Knight, well, I'd say fortunately, the game is starting to get away a little bit. They're already down by 8 kills, but this one could be a lot worse.
I mean, that's what Halo Infinite is becoming at the highest level, right? You see the top North American teams, what they do is they push a 1-kill lead to a 4-kill lead very quickly. They take advantage of their numbers so quickly. It is almost impossible to try and deal with when you lose the first member, and unfortunately Knights is just getting picked in the wrong spots, and because of those picks, the Pioneers are out for blood ever since those picks, and they can take the control of the map, the game, very quickly when they do so. So right now, 23-15, the Pioneers have a significant lead to play around. The Knights, with no camo in sight to come up, are going to have to play just about perfect Halo to get back into this one, and as we continue for the battle for map control, it's once again the Knights that lose the first play.
Yeah, the players on Knights are just taking a lot of damage, top pink, top middle from those bases. And as soon as they get damaged, Pioneers is so good at being aggressive and cleaning up those kills. As we're seeing that right now, Druk with a good cleanup kill once again, on board with Manny in this gen, working with his teammates towards the car side, putting down some good shots in the opposing utility. Yeah,
look at the pressure. These dynamo grenades will just make it so difficult for the Knights to contain closet control for now, and already SoulSnipe's going to be on the flank, making it such an easy kill with the heat wave. He immediately forces his focus into blue base. Although no one's there, he does suspect players are going to be pinged out of the map, and these players are trapped in such a bad position that although SoulSnipe gets taken down, multiple kills go back into Pioneer's favor, and all of a sudden the lead is up to 12.
Yeah, already 34 kills on the board for Pioneers. Make that 35 with Manny leading the charge, 13 for him and 10 for Druk as well. So a couple big performances once again for Druk early in this series. He is playing like an absolute madman, and he's going to need to continue to play like that all weekend.
And that's what I'm saying about when Manny doesn't have the strongest games and Pioneers still figure out ways to win, he's going to have games where he goes 14-6 in the Slayer, and you're going to have a 14-point lead or a 13-kill lead at this time. So if you can win the games that Manny may be struggling in or maybe doesn't find his rhythm in, you can rest assured that Manny is going to find his rhythm in a lot of games this weekend. He's going to win his team these games as well. So game 2, heavily in Pioneer's favor off the back of Manny's 14 kills. Like you said, Druk consistently finding great numbers so far through games 1 and 2, and then SoulSnipe right behind him. I mean, all of the Pioneers seem to be clicking at the right time.
Yeah, and we're seeing Druk and Manny put up these numbers in this lane category. Typically, it's Taulek and SoulSnipe that are leading the charge in terms of kills per game. So again, like, if there's one way to remember this Pioneers team or to think about this Pioneers team, it's consistency and teamwork, right? There's 2 words I should say, consistency and teamwork. There's not a dedicated roles. No, they don't have a main slayer. They're not an objective player. They all do what it takes to win. And some games you'll see Manny with 20 kills. Some games you'll see Taulek with 25 kills, right? They're so evenly balanced, and that's what makes this Pioneers team so intimidating and such a good roster. As looking at the scoreboard, 47-29. Will they get the stake here?
1 kill is all they have to let up for the stake to not be a reality, and SoulSnipe, he's going to over-challenge front of yellow, and unfortunately that's going to do it for the stake. But unfortunately for Knights fans, they're not worried about the stake. They wanted to win this series coming in, and all of a sudden they're just 1 kill away from falling short. 2-0 now. The Pioneers will have the lead in this series versus the Knights. And with a Knights squad that was so strong against Sentinels earlier today, they do not look like the same roster against this Pioneers team.
Yeah, it's 2 tough back-to-back series, right? If you're Knights, going up against Sentinels and giving them a good run for their money in that series, you got to be feeling good, but still you lost the series, so ultimately it's a bad feeling. Then you go into a match against Pioneers who, you know, they're right up there with Sentinels, and obviously they're having more trouble here with Pioneers than they did with Sentinels. As
Maybe better.
Yeah, they're going into this game 3 down 2-0, so it's really going to take a major spark for them to try to stay alive here, right? This game 3, any sort of objective map against Pioneers is going to be a tough task, and being down 2-0 just adds to that.
Yeah, I talked about how that game 5 was going to potentially benefit PK if they were able to get there. That conversation's far away now that we're into this series 2 games, and those 2 games have gone in the favor of the Pioneers. Taking a look at the stats now, it was tapping buttons with the positive KD ratio somehow, some way. Still able to go positive, but the rest of the squad just not able to figure out a way to perform as well as tapping did in that game. And I mean, if you're taking a look at the Pioneer stats, Faisal, everybody does their job, everybody does their part. That is a clean victory that everybody can get some fist bumps in and feel confident going into game 3.
To what we're seeing right now.
They've been playing with Bullet for a little bit, and even before they picked up Pilu, they were playing with Bullet before that.
Yeah.
So they have tons of experience with him. They know what Bullet is as a commodity, and I don't mean to harp on his performance specifically because nobody played well in game 2, really. But it is going to be everyone that needs to step it up, and there's potentially just a lot of team changes can throw off the rhythm of a team and the focus of a team. And already into game 3, you're seeing 3 go down for the Knights. Last guy alive was Drift, and already the ball in hand, rockets in hand as well of Taulek.
Yeah, 2 members once again fall for Knights. Taulek does get that trade. So 3 members fall for Knights and 3 members fall for Pioneers, leaving a 1v1 here. Manny gets the better of tapping buttons with the perfect and body shots afterwards to let him know you are in the big leagues right now. And Manny once again doing his role on the team, getting his kills, and obviously racking up that objective time. As we mentioned, Knights needed to come out strong and get the kills, get the setup early, and we're seeing the exact opposite as Pioneers is in full control right now. If
Manny can play at a high level consistently throughout this weekend, this Pioneers chance has a team to take it all. So we'll see if he can keep that up. Those perfect shots just give you a glimpse of the amount of individual skill that man contains. We'll see if he can consistently play at that, though. That's the big question for me. The Knights, they're on the ropes, though, however. Down 25 points early here in round 1, and unfortunately just losing numbers as you're trying to break the setup once again of Pioneers.
Yeah, good job, though, by Knights to, kind of break that initial setup that Pioneers held. It's not an easy thing to do, especially against a roster like Pioneers, but you see Knights keeping that aggressive mindset intact and always looking to break the setup as early as possible. So although the score is 25-0, you see Bullet here making his way over towards the ball, trying to stay alive towards the purple neon side of the map, but does ultimately fall there with the Oddball, able to just get a couple seconds on the board, but no setup in sight right now for this Knights team.
No setup in sight, and tapping, taking your sweet time to try and make sure no one's spawning behind him. He gets that Bulldog off spawn, so gonna have a little bit of firepower in this next push. We'll see if Drift and tapping can do what it takes to break this setup. Drift finds the first, 3 go down for Pioneers, and tapping with ball in hand finally starts to award some points for the Knights.
Yeah, and this could be an opportunity for a good setup if you're Knights, right? So you just got to make sure you're putting damage onto this Pioneers roster. Taulek, though, goes down. So great job by Knights is keeping this setup intact, getting kills on the board. And that's so important when you have that far back setup, is just getting getting kills with the rockets like you're seeing Atzo right here. So great job out of Knights, showing us some life here.
Showing us some life, and it's about time. Down 2-0 in the series. It's now or never for the boys in blue as Knights continue to try and hold this setup. They've taken the lead now, and with a couple of kills, they may be able to extend this lead. A great job by Bullet to pick up that kill, potentially rotate this ball as well. Unfortunately, the no-shield player ends up taking him down as he tries to get it out that window, and that's going to cost the Knights not only their setup, but a majority of their lives. And if the Pioneers can get this ball back into the house, they're going to be able to rack up some significant time of their own.
Yeah, currently the Oddball is down toward those B stairs, with neither team quite in a position to go for it right now. It's more so a battle of slays. As you see SoulSnipe get a kill, Drift able to trade it out right there. So a couple kills back and forth for both teams, and that ball still not in anyone's possession just yet.
That ball eventually will reset, unfortunately. For Pioneers fans, the Knights actually get a touch on it. They get that ball back into the commando hall, and that's a massive opportunity from them as Rockets are coming up fairly shortly. Tapping buttons, trying to see if he can get a pick, maybe create an opening to help his team have a numbers advantage for these Rockets. And look at the aggressive push from Knights. The ball back in tram, but tapping and the boys look to be aggressive, and it's going to be rewarded with a double kill from tapping with that Bulldog shotgun.
Yeah, great plays we're seeing out of tapping buttons right there, controlling both power weapons and putting them to work. Hopping on board with SoulSnipe, trying to get these rockets off the spawn, and he is able to grab them. Let's see what SoulSnipe can do with these rockets.
The first one, it's no good, and that's going to cost him his life, actually, as he takes his own shield down there with the first rocket. I was going to say it was a massive blunder for the Knights to somehow not be able to secure those rockets. However, they are able to deal with SoulSnipe. Unfortunately, Manny was right there to pick up that second rocket, put it to use, and now trades across the board for both teams with those rockets is eventually going to benefit the Knights once again as they continue to rack up some time looking much stronger here on Streets Oddball.
And this is what you want to see out of this Knights roster, right? And we talked about the scoreboard. We talked about the kill feed earlier in some of these games, and looking at it right now, they are outslaying the Pioneers team, and that's what it's going to take to win some of these objective games. We see it sometimes where you can get outslayed pretty hefty and win the objectives, but for the most part, you got to get your slays. You got to outslay the other team to win these objective games. So Bullet, again, having a much better game than he was early in the season, early in the series, and he's going to need to continue to do that here in the rest of this game and hopefully in the rest of the series.
Yeah, they're just about even in slays right now, but they're up over 30 points, and that just tells you if the Knights can slay, like you're saying, then they're going to be able to play the objective as efficient, if not more so, than the Pioneers, it seems. But how long can they keep these slays up is the big question. The ball trying to be rotated back through that ATM location is going to be shut down by Taulek, but fortunately, the Knights, they pick up a couple of kills on their own, and with rockets coming up in 30 seconds, the ball in a neutral position, the Knights need to focus on a little bit of map control, and just like that, Manny removes any sort of map control they may have with a nice triple kill as he finishes off Drift as well.
Manny putting on a show, triple kill out of him. He's been having a great series the entire time right now. Manny putting on a show, hopping on board now with Taulek, putting down shots on balcony. Nice kill there. Cheeky angle for that reversal. And Taulek just holding down this arcade area, trying to stay alive, and now hopping on board with Manny. Is able to freely move around this map in this ATM with the Bulldog in his back pocket.
Yeah, and those kills were so perfectly timed because the Pioneers were able to secure rockets as well. So Bulldog, rockets, the ball, most importantly in hands of Pioneers, and they're going to be able to get the slays they need as well. Somehow, some way though, they lose rockets. Tappings puts the second rocket to work, and because of it, now all of a sudden Pioneers have 3 dead. So the Knights, even though they lost 3 members, the last player alive tapping made the play they needed, and all of a sudden the Knights with ball in hand, now just 15 points away from taking this first round.
We're seeing Knights show us signs of life, and not just signs of life, but really signs of some dominance right now, as Knights able to really get everything that they're wanting. Tapping buttons with the triple kill, 15 for him already, only 17 points to go, and they will win round 1 of the Streets Oddball game. Bullet in a position to do some damage on this ball player, but what a grenade and kill out of Taulek. That was a big play.
Taulek getting not just 1, but 2 kills there, rotating the ball as well towards the house. A massive job by Taulek, and now look at this, able to rack up significant time as they creep closer and closer to the Knights score. It's now 71-83, and the ball in hand slays as well, going in the favor of the Pioneers. They look to rip the hearts out of the Knights here in round 1.
This is a really swing point in the game right now. The Knights are really gonna have to get their slays, and that was a big kill out of Bullet on Druk, and able to stay alive. But as I say that, SoulSnipe with the Hail Mary grenade taking him down, tapping buttons, gets a kill of his own. So 2 members fall for Pioneers. This could be an opportunity for Knights to break the setup and hopefully get some points on the board to close this game out.
You said Taulek was one of the main slayers for this team. Well, he's picked it up here in round 1. Finds himself another kill with that Bulldog shotgun. Although he left ball behind, it was a smart play because he's able to create so much space for his team. Now 91-85, the ball neutralized momentarily. The Knights seem to be close to it, but the slays once again going in the favor of Pioneers. Now it's just a one-on-one tapping versus Taulek to try and win this game.
Druk trying to get the ball out of this Knights player's hands, able to get the back smack, but takes a lot of damage while doing so. 2 members that are one-shot over here in the cafe. Druk falls, but Taulek able to stay alive. SoulSnipe chasing after this player in ATM, and there you have it. Round number 1 goes to the Pioneers, and just before our very eyes, they were able to sneak that time and get that round victory as we're hopping into the second round here.
I believe the clock actually ran out as that time expired. They decided to keep the ball neutralized, and because of it, the Pioneers are rewarded with that round 1 win. And all of a sudden, what felt like an entire round that was dominated by the Knights. Plays were made by Pioneers, but the round was dominated by the Knights. Now they have nothing to show from it, and they are 1 round away from being eliminated in this series.
Yeah, 91-88 was the score as the time did run out. Clutch, you are correct on that. So a nail-biter of a first round. But this is, you know, everything is going in the favor of Pioneers right now. And once again, if you are the Knights team, now is your final chance. This is officially your last round in this series potentially. So you're going to need to pull something out of the hat and really turn things around right here.
And it's so tough, right? When you lose a round, like you feel like you outplayed the other team like they probably do after that first round, it's almost heartbreaking, especially after being down 2-0. That amount of pressure is very difficult for these players to deal with. We'll see how this round 2 transpires, but already you're seeing the Pioneers have early success. 22 points on the board, a full setup over at the tower. This does not bode well for Knights fans once again.
On board with Taulek right now, doing some damage. Bottom middle, almost gets that 3-shot, but barely misses that final headshot. Nice double kill out of Manny, and SoulSnipe gets a kill of his own. So what is that? I think that's 3 members drop for Knights, and that 4th member in PD putting some heavy damage on SoulSnipe. But great job rotating that ball and just staying alive with that Bulldog.
SoulSnipe still alive, finally the first kill on the Atzo. 2 dead for Knights. The ball's still neutralized, but you can see how comfortable the Pioneers feel around slaying around this ball before picking it up. They built themselves just about a 30-point lead here in round 2, and it's a casual 30-point lead. The ball still remains on the ground as they had a significant numbers advantage. Up 2 players decided to continue to slay. We'll see if that creates an opening for the Knights to come back into this one, because the Pioneers seem to have fell into that lackadaisical feel, more focused on map control and slaying rather than trying to get some scrappy time as of now.
Yeah, you want to make sure you're staying true to your playstyle, and Pioneers are known for scrapping time and being an efficient game, being an efficient team. But I think this is one of those nice shots there. So Druk gets a kill of his own. This is one of the situations where if you're Pioneers, you feel very confident. You know, obviously you're up 2-0, you're up already in 1 round in this. So you're getting to slay age, you're playing a little bit more comfortably. But you know, you just want to be careful, make sure you put this team away, because Knights is the type of roster that can just catch fire before you know it.
Absolutely, you need to make sure you don't let up on the gas too much, but doesn't look like SoulSnipe's let up on the gas at all. 10 kills already here in round 2, as he almost has more than, I would say, the entire Knights team combined, as he picks up a double kill in the feed, make it 12 for SoulSnipe, and finds himself the ball as well. So not only doing a great job of slaying, but he's in position to grab the ball too, so he's going to be able to do that. And that's just a testament to the Pioneers' playstyle as a whole. Everyone can do everything on this team, and that's why they're so difficult to combat.
On board with Manny right now, just staying alive with the Bulldog, trying to make sure his teammate with the ball is safe and not taking damage. After hopping on board now with Taulek with that stalker rifle. Misses a shot, and again, just his job right now is just to stay alive and do damage, and we're seeing right there nice shots, cleaning up Atzo. Taulek doing a great job, staying alive, doing damage here as his teammate does fall with the ball, and he gets taken down by some good shots. Drift on the other side of that.
Yeah, great shots by that player from the Knights. Manny needing to stay alive there. Unfortunately, getting taken down. It may have been Taulek actually, but Drift finding himself a triple with some beautiful shots, making it a killing spree. Said Drift, 8 to his name now in round 2, starting to step it up, and it was a play that was needed from an individual from the Knights, and it was Drift that made the play. We'll see what they're able to do with the score now as they start to rack up some time of their own, but already a 40-point lead to try and make up for. So Pioneers have, or the Knights, I'm sorry, still have so much work to do.
Rockets in the hands of SoulSnipe.
Nice catch.
Yeah, good catch right there for SoulSnipe, able to pick up that oddball. Drops the ball for his teammate, has 2 power weapons in his hands. I'm excited to see what SoulSnipe's gonna do with these rocks. And Stalker, he is in a great position to do a lot of damage on the map.
SoulSnipe rocket in hand, can't quite find the kill, but knocks the player to no shield. Unfortunately, nobody from Pioneers in a position, it looks like, to finish that kill. And now Manny forced to drop the ball as he's the last guy alive. Tries to put the ball into a position where the Knights aren't going to be able to grab it, but someone's right there for the Knights to pick this one up. And 69 points may be the case for the Pioneers fans, but Knights starting to crawl back in this second round, and they need to figure out a way to hold a consistent setup, and that's something they haven't been able to do consistently throughout this game 3.
Yeah, good opportunity for them right now, holding that ball towards the back of PD. You see Drift getting a kill of his own, trying to find a double, but gets taken down by Druk. A couple players of Pioneers in the tires right here. Atzo's about to run into 2 Pioneers members. He doesn't know there's 2 of them. Able to get that kill, and Druk does get taken on to 1 shot. Backs up all the way to tires, and there you have it. Taulek takes him down. So 77 to 32, and about a minute and 50 left in this round number 2 of Oddball. And if you're Pioneers, you're feeling good right about now.
It's a little bit of a blunder there, right? The Knights had what looked to be like a complete setup. They started to push those B stairs, and unfortunately, Pioneers just pushed arcade side of the, pushed cafeteria side of the map, overextended towards tower, and before any of the Knights players really impacted the push, the ball was in the hands of the Pioneers. They were able to get it up to 79, and now there's so little room to play around if you're a Knights fan that you have to figure out a way to almost play perfect from this point on. It's very difficult to try and break a setup within 20 points, and the Knights have to figure out a way to keep a setup of their own, and this is a great way to do that. Bullet rotating the ball perfectly from back tower all the way to Tram, and because of it, he now may have an opportunity to stay alive for his team to coming off respawn.
Yeah, and a fantastic rotation there out of this Knight squad, doing everything in their power to stay alive in this series, going up against a juggernaut like Pioneers, but showing us resilience though. Pioneers able to get that trend set up, broken SoulSnipe with the ball in his hands in clutch, only 10 more seconds, and Pioneers were moving on in the series with the clean sweep.
Yeah, look how Taulek is just being aggressive, almost recklessly being aggressive as he does get taken down, but kills are going to be traded out, and nobody is going to be in a position to stop this ball carrier from getting this last point. And that's going to do it for not only our Game 3, but our series. The Pioneers have taken down PK in dominant fashion, 3-0. And if that's any indication of how this Sentinel series will go later on today, the Pioneers played very well, and you know they're confident knowing that PK took Sentinels to Game 5.
I cannot wait for that Sentinels Pioneer series, but here right now, I want to talk about Knights and Pioneers, right? So I want to give kudos to Knights. They kept themselves in the game when they can, but going up against a really strong team like Pioneers, who really just focuses on the aggression in game, it caught them off guard. And kind of looking at these stats now, 28 there for Manny and 35 kills for Taulek. So one thing that I did notice about this Pioneers team in this series is that each of the 4 members at some point in the series had their moments. They had their games where they popped off and led the way in slays, right? This game, it was Taulek. We saw Manny and Druk do it earlier. SoulSnipe was doing it for parts of this game as well. And everyone on this team, we said it time and time again, does such a good job just balancing out everything for their roster and able to just be so efficient.
Yeah, when individuals are stepping up and just making plays, it just creates so much opportunity and momentum for a team. The issue is when no one steps up, do you struggle in games? It's very rare that you see teams win massive series on the back of just individual performances consistently, right? So if the Pioneers want to win HCS Kansas City, they are going to have to find a way to play consistently at that elevated level. It can't just be individuals randomly stepping up, but Taulek doing one hell of a job there in Game 3. So the recipe, it works for now, at least against the PK Knights. The Pioneers take this one 3-0, and taking a look at these scores, Faisal, they were not close.
Yeah, still a long journey ahead for both of these teams.